Okay, we're back with our look at the charts.
Excellent.
It's our top 10 countdown at 93. I mean, we don't normally drop that low.
Wow.
Electric Malady.
Which I thought was a really intriguing film, a documentary about a young man suffering from electromagnetic hypersensitivity, which is, you asked, does the documentary come to a kind of conclusion? The only conclusion is that this young man is definitely suffering from something, and there are now doctors who do believe that there is substance in the idea of electromagnetic hypersensitivity.
I have quite an informative email.
Oh, great! Okay, go ahead, because as I said, I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
so I'm just a film critic.
David says, "Dear Istanbul and not Constantinople,
Yeah.
long-time Vanguard listener, multiple emailer. Maybe you'll even read this one out. I listened with interest to your review of Electric Malady and Mark's good sense at not commenting on medical matters and the
you.
genuine sympathy he clearly felt for someone who is suffering, but it did make me think. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity has been pretty thoroughly debunked by some clever experiments that show that people who make the claim that they are sensitive are unable to tell if a device they are near is on, off, or just an empty case.
And that is a plot point in Better Call Saul, a crucial plot point in Better Call Saul, precisely that.
Or when a device in the next room is on or off,
Yeah.
coupled with the fact that there's no currently understood mechanism for this radiation to interact with our fleshy selves at the intensities and frequencies that exist out in our world, means that the syndrome in and of itself probably doesn't exist. However, this does not mean that the symptoms that people who feel they have this do not exist. They are clearly suffering, and their suffering should be taken seriously no matter the cause. The phrase, "it's all in your head," to dismiss things is a particular bugbear of mine. Yes, it is all in your head, just like every pain you've ever had, every memory, the love you feel for your family, the entirety of you. Mental illness is just as real as physical illness, and while society is making large strides towards accepting that, we aren't there yet. Just because something is in your head does not mean that it is not a real problem that needs help. And it was refreshing to hear you discuss the film and the person at its centre in a compassionate way. Thank you for that. Up with the BHFs, down with governments who don't seem to understand how negotiation works, says David. So what's interesting about that is it is possible to both say, as I think was obvious from last week and now this week, is electromagnetic hypersensitivity has been debunked, which is not to say that the people who say they're suffering from it are not suffering and therefore need to be helped.
Yes, and I believe that that's what the documentary says. Right. But as I said, I would just say once again, if you're not medical, don't make a call on this.
Shut it.
Yeah,
Yes.
shut it.
Number 11, number 29 in America is Close.
I found very touching. This is the second feature from Lucas Don, who made Girl, and it's a story of childhood friendship bonds broken. And it's about two very young childhood friends who suddenly find themselves in a position that one of them finds awkward, and he turns his back on his friend, and then he lives to regret it for the rest of the movie. I thought it was really beautifully done. We played a clip last week, and you were commenting on how it's a clip of the two boys running through this field of flowers, and the music is superb. And you were commenting on how beautiful it was. I think it's a brilliant evocation of childhood friendship, and of the loss of childhood friendship.
Paul Madden on an email, third-time email, a medium-term listener, I think, and of course a Vanguardista totes worth the price of the subscription, in brackets. Thanks to many of your reviews of movies not in the English language, I have expanded my usual viewings, and it has opened a whole new world for me. The first thing to say is that Close is beautifully shot and stunningly beautiful. From the colours in Remy's room to the wide range of colourful fields of chrysanthemum fields, I think, that the boys run through, you could pause the film every few seconds and print an image to hang in a gallery, not to mention the myriad expressions etched on many of the actors' faces. Secondly, I knew I was seeing a film that these people were actors, but there was something about how young the boys were. Yet they were communicating so much, and not by words, complex emotions, inner turmoil, regret, disdain, and pure innocent love/friendship that I felt I was watching a documentary.
Very good.
Finally, the supporting actors, mainly the parents and Leo's brother, were used just enough, inputted at just the right times within the movie, and were modern and emotionally available, a combination that might have been enough to have changed things. As a gay man in his mid-40s, this movie was a punch to the stomach. I reflected on my friendships when I was of a similar age to Remy and Leo. At the time, I was battling with the notion that I might be different and how I managed my life to avoid situations, protecting my friends from having to deal with homophobia, from being associated with a friend who wasn't like everyone else, gay by association, and the isolation, loneliness and solitary walking, the list goes with it. Thankfully, in a far better place now, this movie was incredibly impactful. In short, heartwarming, heartbreaking, and probably my favourite movie of the year. Paul, thank you very much.
Paul, thank you. That's a lovely email. I'm going to forgive you for the use of the word impactful.
Why does he need forgiveness for that?
This is not really a word, is it?
Why is it not a word?
It's not really a word.
In what sense is it not a word?
It's just not really a word, is it?
You can't just establish a fact by keep repeating the same thing.
You can.
I don't think that works.
It's not really a word, is it?
Impactful.
It's not really a word.
It's definitely if I can look it up, it's a word.
But that is a really lovely email, and I think that speaks to what it is about the film that gets under your skin, is that it has this real smack of truthfulness, but without ever having to have any of the characters explain to you what's going on. And I think, you see so much in the faces of the boys, and I don't think it's beautiful, but impactful, isn't it?
Quite impactful.
Not a
number
word.
10, Heaven in Hell.
That's a Polish movie that I haven't seen. It wasn't press screened. If anyone has, please let us know.
Number 9 is Epic Tales.
Epic Fails.
Number 8 here, number 6 in America, Avatar: The Way of Water. See previous programmes. So I've interviewed Keanu Reeves for the new John Wick film.
Is that John Wick?
John Wick
3?
4. John Wick Chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
And I was thinking, can I crowbar into this interview my way of watching Avatar with John Wick in between? And it just didn't come up. So,
okay, you didn't tell him that you watched it, but on either side of it there was blue swimmy people.
I didn't actually do it. Number 7 here, number 9 in the States, Magic Mike's Last Dance.
The real disappointment in the Magic Mike canon, which is a shame because I like the Magic Mike franchise and I'm all for a bit of male stripping, but the film's rubbish. Number
6 here, number 4 in the States, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba to the Swordsmith Village.
Again, animation that I haven't seen. Be interested to see if anybody has. It's Japanese animation. Please let us know if you've seen it.
Number 5 in the UK, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Which I kind of like. It's its heart's in the right place. It's a bit it's a bit here and a bit there, but I think it's charming when it needs to be charming, and it's kind of fun.
Number 4 here, number 3 in the States is Cocaine Bear.
And I refer you to my previous comments about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, or Shark Exorcist, or any of those things. It's one thing to come up with a title that you go, yeah, that sounds great. It's another thing to come up with a film which doesn't make you absolutely go, but the rest of it was total rubbish. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, it's all in the title, nothing else. Cocaine Bear, okay. It's not as good as the title or the trailer, but it's still good fun.
Cole Murphy says... Simon and Mark, hope you're well. Heritage-ish listener, first-time emailer. I've just come back from seeing Cocaine Bear, a predictably shoddy and gory film with clumsy character arcs, highly implausible plot beats, and very uneven acting. My wife and I enjoyed it immensely.
Great.
However, we were most amused by a vignette before the actual film began, namely the BBFC rating screen that appears before every film.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were various regulatory requirements to consider, but I did find it amusing to be forewarned of drug references in a film called
Cocaine Bear.
Frankly, I would have been worried if there weren't any. Love the show and the new format. Keep up the good fight.
That's very
Thank
good.
you, Cole.
That's very
Number
good.
3 here, 8 in the States, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Discussed. Everyone likes it, apart from Mark.
No, and Robbie.
It was quite impactful on everyone else.
Not a word.
UK number 2 and number 2 in the States, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Well, I have to confess it's not dropping as fast as I said it was going to, so I'm wrong. I thought it was terrible.
But number 1 by a very long way is Creed 3.
Yes, it's not just number 1, it's very number 1.
It is very number 1. In fact, I think looking at this chart, it's outsold everything else put together. Fred on this email. I was listening to your show last week and your excellent interview with Michael B. Jordan reminded me of my friend and fellow Wittertainee's short foray into Hollywood last year.
Okay.
We both work for a boxing broadcaster. and Chris was on the set of Creed 3, chaperoning all our talent as they made up the broadcast team in the film. One day he was approached to see if he would be an extra, complete with one line playing Tony Belew's character, Pretty Ricky Conlon's cut man. A cut man
is the person who puts the dabby on your cut.
Yeah, and looks after you in between the rounds.
Yes.
Chris was born to play this role. He looks like a cut man, speaks like a cut man, and dresses like a cut man. This was his time.
So it's if he walks like a cut man, speaks like a cut man, and dresses like a cut man, chances are he's a cut man.
Sure enough, Michael B. Jordan agreed, and within 24 hours, he had been measured up and cast. Chris was exceptionally proud of himself and fired out WhatsApps left, right and centre explaining how this was the beginning of a long and glittering career in Hollywood. On turning up on set the next day, he was told he had to do a quick tickly test, a mere formality, just to check that he was COVID-free before entering the fray. He wasn't. And there endeth his Hollywood career, brutally cut short in its prime.
So he was, in the end, a cut man.
He was cut from his role as a cut man. And Michael B. Jordan, in his interview last week, did talk about directing his first movie under lockdown and COVID restrictions and how incredibly complicated it was. And unfortunately, Chris the Cut Man ain't the cut man. But everything else...
He didn't make the cut.
It's the number one movie. It's a big hit.
That must have cut. That's it. I'm all out of cut jokes now. I thought it was very interesting in your interview with Michael B. Jordan when he was talking about the challenge of being, in the movie and directing the movie. And I think that one of the most remarkable things is when they get into the fight scene, they do that thing about suddenly removing all the extraneous stuff. So it's as if the fight is happening in some kind of mythical landscape. And I think that works very well. That is a very good directorial call.
Daniel Woodrow.
Yes.
Dear, we're going to need a montage. And if you fade out, it seems like more time has passed in a montage.
Yeah.
I'm a long-term listener. The first review I heard you do was for Shrek in 2001. Many-time emailer. You read out the Ofsted report I wrote for you a few years ago.
Really?
The governors are yet to ratify the pay increase you awarded me on air. Proud Vanguardista. I really enjoyed Creed 3. Jonathan Majors is an immense screen presence.
In every way.
And Michael B. Jordan does a great job as lead actor and director, making some brave and creative choices to introduce new ideas within the standard boxing movie structure, particularly during the final fight. The thing that stood out for me the most, though, was the character of Amara, Adonis's deaf daughter, brilliantly played by Mila Kent Davis. As the head teacher of a primary school that includes a specialist unit for pupils with a range of needs, I have seen firsthand the powerful impact on both our children and their families when they see themselves represented positively on screen. Right. Whether it's Mirabelle's glasses in Encanto, Renee's autism in Loop, Regan's hearing loss in The Quiet Place films, or August's Treacher-Collins syndrome in Wonder, for the children to see themselves on screen matters so much in terms of their aspirations and self-esteem. For their families whose lives are enriched so much by their amazing children but who face their own challenges too, it shows that they are not alone and raises awareness, understanding and empathy for their children and what they're experiencing as a family. The brilliance of Amara's deafness in Creed 3 was just how normally it was treated. Here she was, a really cool, sassy kid with friends, hobbies and interests, having tea parties with her dad, being told not to watch too much television at night, hanging out with her family and using American Sign Language instead of talking. By featuring this so much in the film, but at the same time not drawing attention to it and making it just another facet of family life, Creed 3 has done an incredible thing for inclusion, accessibility and awareness. We always tell the children at school that our differences are our superpowers. And I've heard Michael B. Jordan say something similar to what he and Mila Kent Davis have done here will make our pupils feel that even more, and I'm incredibly grateful to them. So, full marks from a headmaster who knows about this kind of stuff.
There's the phrase that that people use, which is if you can see it, you can be it, or if you see it, you can be it, which is to do with the significance of representation on screen. Is it almost the most significant thing that can happen is that just the presence of a character, not to do with the presence of a character who is particularly significant in one way or another, but just the presence of diverse characters changes the way that we look at the world. And the only thing I'd say is that if that in itself is having that kind of positive response at that brilliant email, said, well, that that more than justifies and kind of wipes almost any critical thing that I would have to say about the film. It's like, there. It's out in the world doing something positive. Hooray. I always refer back to this thing that you once said, I know you forget about it, which is you said, Tom Robinson will always be able to be proud of the fact that he made Glad to be Gay. And it's like, that's it. You can do anything you want after that. You have done one thing that has made the world, no, he's done other things as well,
yes.
but you do one thing that makes the world. And when we had the email about the Tom Hanks film, A Man Called
Otto.
And we had that brilliant.
We have an email on that subject a bit later on.
Okay, fine.
In this particular program. Yes, and I'm sure the filmmakers get lots of stories from people saying how much the films have changed everything. But David Woodrow, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. But I have done.
Excellent.